that burning sensation creeping up your chest after a rich meal? The sour taste in your mouth when you lie down at night? It's a feeling many of us know all too well. We call it heartburn or acid reflux, and it's become astonishingly common in our modern world. It's so common, in fact, that a whole class of drugs has risen to become one of the most widely used medications on the planet. I'm talking about proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs. You probably know them by names like omeprazole, lansoprazole, or esomeprazole. They are the go-to solution for millions, often seen as a simple, harmless fix for that uncomfortable internal fire. The promise is simple: take one a day and the burn goes away. It seems like a modern medical miracle. But what about the rest of us? Are we using a powerful cannon to shoot a fly? Before we can understand what happens when we switch off stomach acid, we need to appreciate its critical role. Your stomach is a truly remarkable organ, a muscular bag designed to withstand an incredibly harsh environment. The liquid sloshing around inside it, known as hydrochloric acid, is so potent it could burn a hole in a carpet. When you eat a meal, your stomach churns and mixes the food with this acid, breaking down tough proteins from meat, fish, and beans into smaller, more manageable pieces that your intestines can later absorb. It's the first and most crucial step in unlocking the nutrients from your food. Stomach acid is also your body's first line of defense against the outside world. Your stomach acid acts as a powerful sterilizing agent, a gatekeeper that kills off these potentially harmful pathogens before they can travel further down your digestive tract and make you ill. It's a formidable barrier that protects you from countless infections every single day. Furthermore, this acidic environment is vital for the absorption of key minerals and vitamins. Nutrients like iron, which is essential for carrying oxygen in your blood; calcium, the building block of your bones. The same is true for vitamin B12, a nutrient critical for nerve health and the creation of red blood cells. Without sufficient stomach acid, these vital nutrients can pass straight through your system, unabsorbed. So how do these PPI drugs work their magic? The mechanism is quite ingenious and incredibly specific. Inside the lining of your stomach are millions of microscopic structures called proton pumps. You can think of these as tiny biological taps. When these hydrogen ions combine with chloride ions already present, they form hydrochloric acid. The more active these pumps are, the more acid your stomach produces. When you swallow a PPI capsule, it passes through the stomach intact, protected by a special coating. It's only when it reaches the less acidic environment of your small intestine that it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. From there, it circulates throughout your body until it finds its way back to the stomach lining, where it targets the proton pumps. The drug then binds to these pumps, irreversibly blocking their ability to secrete acid. But once it kicks in, the result is dramatic. The acidity level in the stomach plummets, often by more than 90%. For someone suffering from the constant pain of GORD or the agony of a stomach ulcer, this provides immense relief. The esophagus is no longer being bathed in corrosive acid, giving it a chance to heal. However, the key word here is irreversible. The drug permanently disables each pump it binds to. Your body has to make entirely new proton pumps to start producing acid again, a process that can take 24 to 48 hours or even longer. This is why a single daily dose can keep acid levels low around the clock. For years, we viewed PPIs as exceptionally safe, but as more and more people have started taking them for longer periods, often for decades, a different picture has begun to emerge. The first and most logical consequence relates directly to digestion. If you significantly reduce the acid needed to break down proteins, your body will struggle to do its job effectively. Beyond simple digestion, the lack of acid has a serious knock-on effect on nutrient absorption. Minerals like magnesium, calcium, and iron are particularly vulnerable. Several large-scale studies have now linked long-term PPI use with an increased risk of bone fractures, especially in the hip. The theory is that chronically low calcium absorption weakens the bones over time. Perhaps one of the most significant concerns revolves around vitamin B12. This vital nutrient requires stomach acid to be cleaved from the protein it's attached to in food. Without this first step, it simply can't be absorbed. A B12 deficiency can be insidious, developing slowly over years. Early symptoms might be vague: fatigue, brain fog, tingling in the hands and feet. But if left unaddressed, it can lead to permanent nerve damage. By altering the stomach's environment, we are also changing the ecosystem of our entire gut. The low-acid environment allows bacteria that would normally be killed off to survive and thrive. Some of these bacteria can travel down into the small intestine, a condition known as small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. This can cause gas, bloating, diarrhea, and further nutrient malabsorption. When the acid barrier is lowered by PPIs, your gut becomes far more susceptible to infections. One of the most well-documented risks is an increased likelihood of contracting Clostridium difficile, often called C. diff. This is a nasty bacterium that can cause severe, debilitating, and sometimes life-threatening diarrhea. In a healthy, acidic stomach, C. diff spores are often destroyed, but in a low-acid environment, they can survive and colonize the intestines. The risk isn't limited to gut infections. There is also evidence to suggest a higher incidence of pneumonia in people taking PPIs, particularly older individuals. The theory behind this connection is known as microaspiration. It's thought that tiny amounts of stomach contents, which now contain surviving bacteria from the food we've eaten, can be inhaled into the lungs, especially during sleep. Beyond specific infections, there are other, more subtle symptoms that can arise from chronically low stomach acid. A classic example is seeing undigested food in your stool. This is a clear sign that your digestive system isn't breaking down your meals properly. Another common complaint is a feeling of excessive fullness after eating even a small meal. This happens because, without adequate acid to signal the next stage of digestion, food tends to sit in the stomach for longer than it should. I once spoke to a woman who had been on omeprazole for over a decade for mild heartburn. She suffered from constant fatigue, bloating, and had recently been diagnosed with osteopenia, the precursor to osteoporosis. After working with her doctor to address the root cause of her reflux and slowly weaning off the PPI, her energy levels returned, her bloating vanished, and her bone density began to improve. The good news is that for many people suffering from common heartburn and mild reflux, there are incredibly effective strategies that don't involve powerful acid-blocking drugs. The first port of call should always be lifestyle and diet. What you eat and how you eat it can have a profound impact. Common trigger foods include spicy dishes, fatty or fried foods, chocolate, caffeine, alcohol, and acidic foods like tomatoes and citrus fruits. It can be hugely helpful to keep a food diary for a couple of weeks to identify your personal triggers. You may not need to eliminate them completely, but simply reducing your intake can make a world of difference. Your eating habits are just as important as your food choices. Opting for smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day can prevent your stomach from becoming overfull. Also, take your time when you eat, and whatever you do, avoid lying down for at least 2 to 3 hours after your last meal. Gravity is your best friend when it comes to keeping stomach acid where it belongs. Excess weight, particularly around the abdomen, increases pressure on the stomach. Losing even a small amount of weight, just 5 to 10% of your body weight, has been shown to significantly reduce reflux symptoms. Another simple but remarkably effective trick is to elevate the head of your bed by about 6 to 8 inches. This uses gravity to help keep stomach acid from flowing back up while you sleep. Finally, consider simple natural aids. Some people find relief by sipping on chamomile tea, which has anti-inflammatory properties, or trying deglycyrrhizinated licorice or DGL tablets before meals. Managing stress is also key, as stress can disrupt digestion. Simple relaxation techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or even a gentle walk after dinner can be surprisingly effective. There is no doubt that PPIs are essential medicines for specific serious conditions. If you have bleeding ulcers, Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, or severe erosive esophagitis, these drugs are not just helpful, they are necessary. The problem is that their use has expanded far beyond these narrow indications. They are now one of the most overprescribed classes of drugs in the world, often given out for mild, uncomplicated heartburn. Part of the issue is that the drugs work so well. A patient comes in complaining of heartburn, the doctor prescribes a PPI, and the symptom disappears. The patient is happy, and the doctor feels they've solved the problem. However, this often happens without investigating the underlying cause and without a clear plan for stopping the medication. What starts as a short-term 2-week course can easily become months, then years of automatic refills without regular review. This can lead to dependency, both psychological and physical. Psychologically, people become afraid the heartburn will return the moment they stop the pill. Physically, the body experiences rebound acid hypersecretion. When you suddenly stop the PPI, the proton pumps are unblocked, and this high gastrin level causes acid overdrive, producing far worse symptoms than the original problem. This rebound effect creates a vicious cycle. A person tries to stop their omeprazole, experiences excruciating reflux, and concludes they need the drug for life. In reality, they're experiencing a temporary withdrawal side effect. This is why long-term use decisions must be made carefully, and stopping must be done gradually under professional guidance. We have journeyed deep into the world of acid reflux and the little pills so many of us rely on. We've seen that stomach acid, far from being an enemy, is a crucial ally in our health, responsible for digesting our food, protecting us from invaders, and helping us absorb vital nutrients. We've learned that proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole are incredibly powerful drugs that work by shutting down the acid pumps in our stomach. While this can bring profound relief and is medically necessary for certain serious conditions, it is not a benign intervention. The evidence is mounting that long-term continuous use of these drugs can come at a cost. This can manifest as problems with digestion, an increased risk of bone fractures and infections like C. diff, and critical deficiencies in essential nutrients. These consequences don't appear overnight. They can creep up slowly over years, causing vague symptoms that are easily dismissed or misattributed. But this knowledge is not meant to cause fear. It is meant to empower. It highlights the incredible power we have to influence our own health through conscious choices. For a great many people, the path to taming heartburn lies not in the pharmacy, but in the kitchen and in our daily habits. By identifying trigger foods, eating mindfully, managing our weight, and using simple tricks like elevating the head of our bed, we can often manage or even eliminate mild reflux symptoms. These lifestyle strategies address the root cause of the problem, rather than simply masking the symptom by disabling a vital bodily function. Ultimately, the message is one of mindful partnership with your body and your healthcare providers. If you are taking a PPI, ask questions. Understand why you are on it and regularly review if it's still the best option for you. By taking an active and informed role, you can make choices that not only soothe the burn today, but also protect your long-term health and well-being for all the years to come. You are the chief executive of your